So I was around 16 or 17 years old when this happened. I used to work in a grocery store in what most might consider a bad neighborhood. I always worked until around 11 p.m. and had to cross a fairly busy street to get to the bus stop. The bus stop isn't the most well lit, and the buses have been known to pass people because they couldn't see them sitting there. So I'm waiting for the bus to pull up when this white minivan pulls in front of me. The driver rolls down his window and asks how old I am. I just look at him because why would I tell you my age, random person? He begins telling me that I should get in the van and go to church with him. I can see another person sitting in the dark back of the van. I can't really see him, but I can tell he's looking at me. The driver then begins to insist that I get in the van so he can save my soul. Right when he starts to open the door, and I start easing back to run, the bus pulls up behind him and blowing its horn at him. He slams his palms on the steering wheel and speeds off as I'm running to jump on the bus. I tell the driver what happened and he drops me off right in front of my house and waits till I am inside. I remember working the night shift the other night at a local McDonald's. I had to fill in for my friend Kiera, who called in sick. This night was probably one of the most terrifying nights I have ever worked. It was dead around 11 p.m. as I was asked by the manager to sweep the floors until a customer came in. One customer came in and he looked a bit rough. Bald, long, rusty beard, glasses, sandals, and just clothes that had stains on them. I go over to the register and say, "Hello, can I get you anything?" He said, "Yes. Can I have a large coffee, please?" I take his order and give him his coffee and tell him, "Have a wonderful night, sir." And he smiles. I go to sweep the floor again, as I see this man sitting a bit close to where I'll be sleeping, which is usually under the tables and just around the floor. When I reach this table, he says, "You're very beautiful." I smile and say, "Thank you very much." He says, "Can I give you a ride home when you get off work?" I say, "No, thank you. I have a ride home." He became the opposite of a nice man that I took the order from to just pure rude. He tells me, "What's your schedule?" I said, "I'm not allowed to give out that information, sorry." He takes his coffee and goes back outside. The next night after that, Kira and I worked together and my other guy friend, Jack. I told Kira about the guy from the night before and she gave me a weird facial expression. Jack comes over to me and says, "Monica, is everything okay?" I tell him about the guy from the night before and he just gave me this look of terror. What he said to me ran chills down my spine. Jack said, "That man called the restaurant earlier and asked about you." My blood ran cold as I saw the man walk back into the restaurant. Kira's face went pale and Jack's jaw was dropped. My stomach turned in knots as I say, "Hello, can I get you anything tonight?" He says, "No, but can I take you home?" Jack steps out and says, "No, she ain't going anywhere with you. Get out of here before I call the cops." The manager got pissed off at Jack for leaving his position at the drive-thru window while Kira was frying burgers. Jack agreed to switch positions with me until the morning crew came. The manager asked me to take the trash outside, and I nervously said, "Okay." Jack, on the other hand, was pissed that the manager asked me to do it. Jack was nice enough to take it for me. I stayed by inside, and Jack comes in and pulls me to the janitor's closet and says, That guy was waiting for you in his truck with like 5 other big guys in there." I felt sick to my stomach when he said that. Jack informs the manager, and the manager, like the fucking asshole that she was, says, "He's not gonna hurt anyone. He's harmless. Get back to work." The next morning, me and Jack worked together when my other coworker Taylor informs me that the man has come back and told her my schedule and that he will wait for me to come back in today. I got sick of it till I saw him come in. Jack, being the good friend that he was, told him to get the fuck out of the restaurant and to never come back again, or else that he would call the cops. Jack lost his job because of me, but to me, he was looking out for me. I fucking cried when Jack lost his job, because I know Kira and I would be working alone without anyone there to protect us. But I never saw the man again after that. I quit my job at McDonald's, and so did Kira. Me and Jack and Kira now live in the same apartment building and work at a grocery store. I don't know what could have happened to me if I took out the trash that night and not Jack. I'm just happy I never get to see that creep again. I worked as a Walmart cashier for a little over a year. I quit in August of 2015 when I went away to college. As a cashier, you see a lot of people in a day, especially at Walmart, and after a while you don't even see people's faces when you look at them. But there are some people that you see so often, you start to recognize and sometimes learn their names. There was this one guy, always in the same Green Bay Packers hoodie and Chicago Cubs baseball cap, that would often seek out my line, no matter how long it was, just so he can stare at me and rarely say a word. Whenever he did say anything to me, he would always lean across the register and get closer to my face. He always gave me a really bad vibe, but when I asked the other cashiers about him, they said that he had never been weird around them. One of the girls even said that he was a close family friend. After that, I dropped the issue. One night after I'd been there for about a year, I was working a 2 to 11 shift. Those shifts were always the worst because you would be there with 3, sometimes 4 front-end managers or CSMs. But also because it takes a chunk out of your day where you can actually do anything. So I'm down on the self-checkout. It's about 10:15. So I'm counting down the minutes until I can shut it down at 10 to 11. The creepy guy comes in the front door and makes a beeline for me at the self-checkout podium. When I see him come in, I instantly get nervous. He walks up and says, "Can I still buy a phone card and electronics?" I told him I only worked as a cashier on the front end, so I didn't know anything about electronics, but he could go back and check. He seemed peeved by this answer, but he walked away without another word. About 10 minutes later, he comes up with a prepaid phone card and says there's no one at the register in electronics. So I activate his card and hand it to him, telling him to have a good night, but he pushes the card back at me without saying a word, and I say, "Is something wrong?" To which he replies, "These minutes aren't on my phone yet, are they?" I was confused by the statement because of course they weren't. He had just bought the card. I shook my head and he waved the card in front of my face. "Why the fuck are you just standing there? Reactivate my phone." When he talked, he was so close I could smell his breath, and I was scared. I wanted to put in a call to a CSM so that someone could come down and help me. This is where I should probably mention that I'm about 5'3" and he's closer to a 6'5", and very stocky. So he towers over me, and the thought that he could easily overpower me crosses my mind. I get so nervous whenever men yell or cuss at me, because my dad was never the type to yell or cuss. I took the card out of his hand, and he slams his cell phone on the scanner. I was trying to let him know that I was not nervous, but I was terrified. I knew that I had never put minutes on a prepaid phone before, but I didn't dare tell him that, in the fear of what he might do. So I read the directions, pick up the phone, dial the number, and as I'm putting in the card number, his phone runs out of minutes. I try to call back, but I get an error message. I'm at a loss. I meekly hand him his phone back and say, "I'm sorry, something went wrong. I don't know what is happening." As soon as I say it, he takes his phone, opens it up, tries to dial someone, and when it doesn't work, he looks at me with furious eyes. He screams, "What the fuck did you do to my phone? What the fuck?" His voice is echoing in the store, and unfortunately, we haven't gotten the end of second shift rush yet, so there's still no one around.
He closes his phone and opens it again, trying to make another call, but when it doesn't work, he throws the phone down on the scanner again. He says, "I don't know what you did to my phone, but you better fucking fix it." But this time comes much more quietly, practically a whisper. At this point, I'm worried he's gonna put his hands on me, and I don't know what to do. I put in a call for a CSM from my register, and then I say, "I've called someone that might be able to help, but we're at a shift change right now, so it might be faster if you take it to the customer service desk." He picks up his phone off the podium, still mumbling under his breath that I fucked up his phone. I'm hoping I can get out of here before he comes back, or at least have someone else down to self-checkout with me. Another 15 minutes go by, and I don't see him again. As I'm picking up items that people left by registers, getting ready to shut down for the night, he comes back and stands by the podium. He still looks completely pissed off, and my stomach sank. He made that finger motion that means come here without saying anything, and for some reason, that makes me even more nervous. When I am standing in front of him, he leans so close to my face that I think he's either going to kiss me or bite me or God knows what. I try to take a step back, but he takes a step forward when I do. A creepy grin comes across his face and he says, "That girl up there fixed it. Simple fix, but next time, I expect you to know what to do. Understand?" I nod because I don't think I can even speak. He gets impossibly closer before saying, "I'm sorry I raised my voice. I never should have done that, especially to a pretty girl like you." When he adds the last part, he lightly uses his fingertips to brush my bangs to the side. I took a step back, and he said, "Let me make it up to you. Let me buy you a drink." I shake my head, and I say, "No thank you, I'm only 19. He says, "So we'll get a couple beers and go back to my place." Again, I shake my head. "No, it's okay. I'm not much of a drinker. I have an early morning tomorrow." He looks displeased with this answer and says, "Tell you what, I'll wait over here by the door just in case you change your mind." I smile at him weakly and tell him to have a good night. When I see him walk through the security things, I quickly shut down the registers and sign out of mine. Then I run over to find a CSM to tell him the whole thing. The third shift CSM that I tell looks at me like I'm lying, and when I'm finished says, "I know his name. He couldn't hurt a fly. He doesn't have it in him. You're just being dramatic." She then turns to another, older cashier behind her, shakes her head and mumbles, "Teenagers." I ask if I can get someone to walk me to my car, and they tell me that management is in a meeting and the security guy went home already. So I clocked out and went to the bathroom. I waited in the bathroom for about 10 minutes before coming out and attempting to go to my car. When I walked around the corner through the security things, he wasn't sitting on the bench right there like I had been expecting. I relaxed a little bit before I realized he was standing just outside the door, far enough away to keep from closing, smoking a cigarette. He headed back turned to the door though. Luckily, I never went out the front doors. I always went down the corridor and out the side door. I quietly closed the door behind me so maybe I wouldn't catch his attention. I rushed to my car, which was fortunately very close to the building. As I'm quick walking to my car, I hear him shout, "Hey, why are you avoiding me? Come here." At this point, I took off into a full sprint, which is not easy because I'm wearing Sperry's, so it's like running in clogs. I get to my car, get in, lock the doors. As I'm starting it, I don't even bother with my seatbelt. By that point, he had made it almost to my car, and was still yelling, telling me he just wanted to talk. I took off as fast as I could, and took the longest way home, with the most turns and twists that I could. When I got home, I told my dad about the experience, and he was so angry that no one had answered my calls or believed me. He told the store manager the next day and complained. I was never contacted about his complaint, but from that night on, whenever I saw that guy, I would run into the bathroom, or if I couldn't get away, I would put out my lane closed sign and turn off my light so he couldn't get in my line. You always hear people talking about the people of Walmart as being trashy, but they never tell you about the select few that are scary as hell. And remember, we're always watching. And may the guinea be with you.